television. And today,
All right. Thank you for joining us on the program. And the program is Newspunch, coming to you live from Ben Television. My name is Tunde Labi. It's a pleasure to have you join us on the show today, this beautiful Tuesday evening. As we start the show, what we're looking at on the program today, we are looking at the issue of minimum wage in Nigeria. Of course, for those who have been following development in Nigeria, the issue of minimum wage has been on the front burner for a couple of for some months now, and both the labor unions and the governments have been trying to resolve the issue of the minimum wage. You will remember that at some point after the tripartite committee that was set up by the federal government of Nigeria recommended a 30,000 naira monthly minimum wage, the President Muhammadu Buhari, in his word, described the recommendation as realistic, fair, and implementable, giving a kind of signal that his government is favorably disposed to the 30,000 naira recommendation. But just the following day after the tripartite committee submitted their report on November 6th, the information minister, Lai Mohammed, came out the following day to say that the federal government had not agreed to pay 30,000 naira minimum wage. Again, that caused a couple of brouhaha between the government and the tripartite committee and the labor union. But the key thing there is others have also suggested that the 30,000 naira minimum wage will cause massive inflation in the economy. One of those who said that is the presidential candidate Kingsley Moghalu, who are reacting on the background of being a former CBN deputy governor in Nigeria, noting very well that 30,000 naira minimum wage will cause massive inflation, but 18,000 naira is also very, very unrealistic for as a minimum wage for anybody. Let's quickly put this in context. 30,000 naira means just about 64,000. Is about 64 pounds. 64 pounds in the UK, and there is no state benefit or welfare package to support any family who earns 64 pounds. So the government expects people to earn 64 pounds for 30 days, live on the 64 pounds for 30 days, and there's no no social benefit, no welfare benefit, no housing benefit, no child benefit, no form of benefit that can support any family on 64 pounds monthly. And but some economists have also suggested that 30,000 naira will also cause some kind of inflation in the economy. But in the back of all this, some excuse me, I've also suggested that there is an unwritten agreement that is behind all this labor talk of a minimum wage of 30,000 naira, that the rating or the unwritten agreement behind this deal that is coming just a few months to the election was a kind of a deal that the labor union, should the government accede to 30,000 minimum wage, the labor union will use this position to lobby its members to vote massively for President Muhammadu Buhari come 2019. That is an unwritten agreement. Some have said is behind this 30,000 naira minimum wage. But above all, the governors will also be sharing the burden of paying the 30,000 minimum wage have criticized the minimum, the recommendation, saying it is unimplementable, that the state governors would not be able to pay that 30,000 naira minimum wage if they are still owing workers in Nigeria 6, 7, 8 months while they earn 18,000 naira. How would they be able to pay them when they now start earning 30,000 naira? But let's put the whole thing, either 24,000 being suggested by the government or 30,000 naira as recommended by the tripartite committee. Let's put the whole thing into context, into real life now. The issue here is the senators in Nigeria It's been said, the Hard report, in fact, Senator Shehu Sani some time ago said that an average senator earned about 12.24 million naira monthly, 12.24 million naira monthly as salary. So if a senator earns about 12 million naira monthly, then, and let us assume that the federal government finally start paying 30,000 minimum wage, it will take an average worker in Nigeria who earns 30,000 monthly, it will take him 34 years to earn what a senator earns in 1 month. And that's a very, that is the very sad thing in this whole matter, looking at the imbalance in Nigeria economy and the earning standard. If it would take 34 years for an average worker to earn what the senator earns in 1 month, then some have said, look, the Nigerian system is very imbalanced and the government ought to do something about it. Of course, an average Nigerian senator is one of the highest earner in the world, compare amongst his colleagues in the parliament. And also, should the government agree to pay 30,000, that money will not be paid immediately. The federal government, the president, will need to send an executive bill to the National Assembly, and the National Assembly will still have to pass the 30,000 minimum wage into bill. So we are not even looking at, let us assume the government agrees this week, the workers in Nigeria will not likely earn 30,000 naira even this year. Probably it's going to be sometime next year. Hopefully, if the government agrees, it's probably going to be sometime in before Easter, because the process of passing this into law may take, if it goes through a fast track system, maybe about 1 month or 2 months, as it may be. And so what we're looking at on the show today is, what is the right minimum wage for Nigerian workers? That's what we're looking at on the program today. What is the right minimum wage? And my guest in the studio, Chukwudi Nwabuko, Chia, Nigerian journalist in the UK, is joining me. Mr. Chukwudi, thank you for joining us on the program today.
Thank you very much.
All right. Let's quickly go to the other side. I've been told I have a guest, a caller on the other side. Madu. Good evening, Madu.
Good evening, Tunde. How are you?
I'm very well, sir. Thank you for joining us on the program today. Quickly, let us have your thoughts on the show.
Well, we should be ashamed of ourselves that if we extrapolate what people used to earn before independence, the 30,000 naira a month goes nowhere to address the issue. The British MPs earn 72,000 pounds a year, and our senators or members of the House earn about 77,000 pounds a month. That is just scandalous. 30,000 naira a month is just scratching the surface.
And that's just an equivalent of about 64 pounds.
Exactly. And there are no safety net for any family until we have a sort of summer uprising in that country. Nothing will ever change. It's ridiculous. 64 pounds is how much I use in fueling my car in a week. Can you imagine somebody with family, children, pay your school fees? What are we turning our country into? Buhari, yes, if he's agreeing on 30,000 a month for salaries, they should cut the salaries of the senators, the governors, all of them completely. Turn the table around and let us see how they feel. Actually, I very much like this exposure to see how we have gone back more than 60 years, almost 60 years after independence. I used to see my father's wages slip after he died in the Nigerian Railways. 125 pounds a month as a senior service. That was super scale. And there was no room for anybody begging. You pay your school fees, you fuel your car, you have your car, everything was smooth running. Why should we be talking about 30,000? It's about 35,000 to fly from Abuja to Enugu. That is more than somebody's wages in a month. And people are using it like taxi. And those of them in the Senate, the government.
All right, Mr. Madu, thank you for your contribution on the program. Thank you so much. You're the first caller on the show today. Thank you for opening the call, and thank you for giving us your thought on the show. Thank you. Keep watching the program, and the line is still open. If anybody who wants to join us on the show, my guest, Shikude, thank you for joining us on the show. You listen to what my caller said. Let's look at this from my introduction. There have been knocks and praises. The president said, well, it was achievable. The governor said, no, this is not achievable. If we're struggling to pay 18,000, how do we pay 30,000 naira? The information minister said, no, we didn't agree on 30,000. That, well, let's look at what it will be agreed on. They came up with 24,000. The neighbor said, no, we can't live on that. But, however, economists, including Kingsley Mogalo, said, look, 30,000 naira per a worker will cause massive inflation in Nigeria. Chukwudi, tell us, 30,000 equivalent of 64 pounds. What do you think?
Thank you so much. It really grieves me to hear that a government is finding it difficult to pay equivalent of 64 pounds to its workers. That shows the level of degradation in Nigeria, the level we have fallen into. Because as of now,
it is probably they are paying 18,000 naira,
which is about 37 pounds.
Which is about 37 pounds.
So it is criminal for a government.
And they are not even paying that. They can't even pay that.
To even
struggle
to make that kind of payment, or to even pay all people's salary. I mean, I don't know what government is meant to be in Nigeria. Nigerian government, those in government today are there only for their own self-interest. As rightly pointed out, how can senators in a nation like Nigeria, of more than 180 million people, senators are the people who have privileged lifestyle, earning more than almost 15 million naira from one source. But when you ask to pay some funding to workers who are productive, then you find it difficult to pay. So that's why what we said now with Mogalo, I had high regard for him because of his pedigree where he was coming. But even before he has come to that position, he's telling you that it will cause inflation. Why that people in National Assembly are earning 15 million naira each? Aside from other allowances, aside from what they get from oversight function, inflation. That doesn't cause inflation. Then to pay workers who are working, and then governors have the guts to say they're not able to pay. Let me say the truth.
Let me put you on hold. I've got a call coming in from Austria. Eric from Austria, thank you for joining us on the program. Eric, quickly go ahead and make your point from Austria today.
Yeah, the idea of this minimum wage people are talking about crying over it for 30,000 naira. Yeah, it's a very big shame. It's quite a rapport for people to come to air or come to the television in public to talk about 30,000 naira minimum wage for Nigerian workers. Why the so-called representative of Assembly, whatever they call themselves, are earning millions of naira. That's
12.65 million per 12.65 million per month.
They shouldn't be talking about that on air.
14.25, almost 15 million anyway per month.
From one source.
The governors, like the last speaker has spoken, the governors, the minister, or whatever, they should reduce their salaries also. They should reduce their salaries and join it to pay the poor people who are working for the benefit of those people who are in power. It is quite degrading or degrading.
Eric, before you go, let me ask you, is it about the minimum wage that we've got issues with in Nigeria, or the government should make provision for a kind of safety net that will take care of the poorest in the society, like you and I have in this part of the world, where people can access welfare benefit when they are on low salary, low wages? Do you think it's about the government putting in place such a safety net? Eric?
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say, you people are not debating on the minimum wage. Your topic here is whether the minimum wage, whatever it is, what is the right minimum wage? Right minimum wage they have pronounced now by the president is 30,000 naira. 30,000 naira, it's not even money. It's not even money to pay workers in Nigeria. And that's why there's a lot of killings, a lot of armed robbers, kidnappers, and whatever in Nigeria. Because people are not being given the right things. They're not being paid rightfully.
All right,
Even the
Eric.
policemen, the army, the home military people that are working for us, they're not paying them. Why mustn't there be armed robbers? Why mustn't there be killers? Why mustn't there be kidnappers? I mean, we should talk sense and stop debating all this kind of a thing on television for the world to see. It's quite insulting, really, quite insulting.
Eric, I feel you there. I feel your emotion and disappointment. Thank you, Eric. Thank you for joining us on the program. Thank you for calling into the program all the way from Austria. Eric from Austria. I mean, you can feel that emotion. 30,000 naira per family, and Nigeria is a country where in a family you've probably find four people minimum, that is husband, wife, and 2 children minimum. And in some instances you can have 6 in a family, husband, dad, mom, and 4 children, and on 30,000 naira and no safety net. And we speak about corruption. Is corruption, people have said corruption is endemic in the society. Would corruption ever go when people are faced with poverty, are faced with bleak future? You have no idea where your next meal is going to come from. Yes, you work every month, but what you earn monthly cannot take you home. In fact, cannot take you to the nearest bus stop, talk less of taking you to the end of the month. Would corruption ever be dealt with in Nigeria?
No, there are many areas of corruption. Corruption has many colors. From what we have seen so far, and the fact that people do not get reward for their labor, I don't see corruption in Nigeria abating. It's rather, you can see at all levels of society, people are doing one thing or the other
to make extra
to make ends meet. People are doing things you cannot describe, things you cannot think of to make money, because the government that's supposed to regulate the society has abandoned the people. They have failed, only catering for themselves and their immediate families. So that is why the system is not normal in Nigeria. Nothing is working in Nigeria because there is no one to give direction. So everybody, people who are saying that they cannot pay, like governors, so they cannot pay, they will be the first so they cannot pay. But if they release some money from their security votes alone, it will pay workers for at least 2 months, 3 months. Security alone, not their even domestic budgets. Not what they use to settle other tiers of society, like all the let me tell you, like traditional rulers, they have budget for them. The masses are not their concern at all. All levels of society, they take
even
care
the
of
security votes alone should be sufficient to clear some of the debt the state governors are owing workers.
Let
me put you on hold. I've got this call coming in from Germany. Okay, from Germany, thank you for joining us on the program. Good evening, okay, from Germany. We're looking at the right minimum wage for Nigerian workers. At the moment, it's put at £64, which is equivalent to about 30,000 naira. Go on.
Sir, please, the minimum wage of 30,000 naira has nothing to write home about. Because if you take 30,000 naira to a market once, it is finished. The cost of living is too much. The government, the president of Nigeria, should be able to look at the poor masses. We are not working with the poor masses.
Okay, can I ask you this question?
The
okay.
most thing you should look into is what will be the interest of the public. You understand me?
Yeah, I do.
50,000 naira minimum of 50,000 naira should be given to every worker in Nigeria. Nigeria is rich enough. If you see the money to pump out anyhow, throw away anyhow, you can see that Nigerians should earn not less than 50,000 naira monthly, and they should try everything. We need economists in Nigeria to work.
Okay, are you there?
I'm there. I'm
Let me ask you this question. We keep complaining. Okay, we keep complaining about corruption in Nigeria. Do you think the issue of corruption? Do you think an average Nigerian that earns 18,000 naira has got 4 children to look after monthly will not go extra mile to make extra money to take care of his family? Do you blame this civil servant who earns 18,000 naira, who has 4 dependents, and it does something extra to make extra money? Do you blame him? And do we say corruption is bad?
No, I blame the government. I blame the government. The blame is to the government because they're not paid enough. Listen, the blame is to the government because the civil servants are not paid enough. If you are paid enough, you understand? If you're paid enough, you will not steal. You understand? If you pay somebody, let's assume a man is working 50,000 naira and the wife is working 50,000 naira. Understand? Then you see if they join it together, and then maybe they get some little things in their farm in the village, understand, or anywhere, they can be able to live without and then pay the school fees. But the cost of living is too much. To buy one okay shot for a boy is expensive. Buy shoe is expensive. T-shirt is expensive. Every school uniform is expensive. The cost of school fees is expensive. The government, listen, the government are not looking into the affairs of the poor masses. First and foremost, if you want to control this, first and foremost, control the cost of living. Understand?
All right, okay, thank you so much from Germany. Thank you for calling into the studio and sharing your thought with us. Thank you. It says something that first, let us control the cost of living. It appears the cost of living in Nigeria is so high that no matter what you earn, you cannot even meet up with it. Talk less of you earning 18,000 naira.
Sure.
So is this a fund? The issue of money in Nigeria, is it fundamental to survival in the country? Do we blame people who do extra to survive?
We only have to blame people who go the extra mile to inflict more pain on those people like them who are oppressed, to survive. That is not what they should be doing. Yeah. So we should condemn that kind of thing. Yeah. But people are, because of the hardship they are passing through today, they are putting their hands
in every facet of the country.
Many vices. Do you know people today? People are killing each other in order to survive, because they believe that since they cannot make money, the only way they can make money erroneously is by doing rituals. So now that human beings are now commodities, they kill people,
they kidnap
people, they
steal from others.
They take what they want to say. They say that they want to do ritual to make money, because the government has failed the people. They only defend the people who are in government. Remember that everybody who is in government today walks about with a policeman attached to him, therefore neglecting the overall general security of Nigerians. So you're on your own. Unless you're a lawmaker in Nigeria, or a minister, or somebody in government, you don't have security. I mean, you don't have, you are entitled to somebody protecting you and your family. But the majority of people are left on their own. That is a system gone bankrupt, a system that has finished. So Nigeria has to wake up as a people. We have to wake up as a people. There is a lot of hardship in Nigeria today. What they call wages in Nigeria today are nothing but slave wages. Nobody can subsist on those kind of wages. So it is very, very disappointing that government that ought to take the truth of people at heart, abandon the people to their own whims and caprices.
All right, let me put you on hold. I've got Martin from London. Martin, thank you for joining us on the program. Martin from London, good evening. Go ahead and make your point.
Thank you. The problem...
Can I ask you to turn down the volume of your TV set, Martin, please? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing up this topic, and I really appreciate you and the last speaker. What happened is that is what they are facing in Nigeria now is the peak of corruption the previous government has caused the country. when they, all those people that, have taken, that have taken money, that are still, stealing money, that were stealing money before, and they took this money and, going to the market, buying the same, paying the same money with the salary earner, and all the people that are working in the ministry, in the private companies, still, going to the same market to buy from the same price. Those people that have, stole the money. That's why the
cost of living.
If the corruption has not really taken over, our country, the problem.
But you keep talking about corruption. Do you keep talking about corruption at the highest level?
Yes.
What about corruption at the lower? Almost people have said that almost everyone in Nigeria is corrupt. Even to a small child, you send a small child out to get you something, he or she comes by wants to keep your change. What do you say about that? Everyone is just looking out for himself. All right, he's gone. Thank you so much. I think I need to go on a short break now. The program is still on. Don't go away. I just need to go on a short break. When we come back, the phone line will be open and you'll be able to call into the studio. I'll be back. Don't go away.
Newspunch will give you the information that you need, from business to economy to politics to technology. And that's all we do here on Newspunch, from the beginning to the end. And that is why we are here. Keep watching Newspunch from Ben Television. And today, to economy, to business, technology, the totality.
All right, welcome back and thank you for joining us. And you can still call to the studio. The number to call is put on the screen. You can join us in this discussion, and we keep looking at this. Is very important. What people hate in Nigeria is very important for those of us who live in the diaspora, because of course our family members, our friends, if they are not comfortable, we get the burden, because they keep ringing us, they keep calling us, and they keep putting a kind of pressure on most of us that are in the diaspora, not knowing that we also have our own kind of burden we got to go through as well. Chukwudi, as this stands now, what do you think the government should do? What's the way forward?
The way forward,
because the government said we can't pay 30,000.
No, governments can pay 30,000. The government can pay.
How can government pay 30,000 when they are still owing workers who earn 18,000?
Any government, any governor, any government owing workers in Nigeria.
It's just wicked.
Just wickedness. Because this money, now think about it. They say they cannot pay salary. If they need 24 SUV today, it's coming, they will get it. But they can't pay salary. It's just wickedness. Now, the principle is this. The more money you pay, okay, again, before I say that, why do you think that people award contracts or want to do something, midway they abandon it, when money has been voted for it? Now, the thing is that the more money they spend on social on the social front, on social things, the less money they have.
Entertainment.
Less money they have for themselves. So if they spend more money, they have less. If they spend less, they have more money to embezzle. Have you ever asked yourself, why is it that every governor that leaves office, if EFCC comes, they are making an allegation of embezzling billions of naira? One person, billions of naira that could go into other developmental areas. A governor will embezzle it, and those are around him. It is because the money is there. There is surplus money in Nigeria in government. Those who cannot. Example was given by the former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi. He left government. He was not owing anybody. He wasn't owing workers. He left money in the government coffers because he did not steal like others did or others are doing. he still left something on something.
Okay, I'm sorry, let me put you on hold. I've got Anthony. Anthony, good evening. Where is Anthony calling from today?
My name's not Anthony. Let me give you my full name. My name is Ogene Kome.
All right, Ogene. Thank you, Ogene. Where are you calling from today?
Kome. I'm calling from Liverpool.
From Liverpool. All right, thank you so much. Go ahead and make your point.
Okay. I think the first thing that people understand is that the purpose of having a minimum wage is to basically enthrone people and put them into a position where they can have a voice, where they can actually participate. When you're poor, you're excluded. Now, what poverty does, it means that people cannot insist on righteousness, cannot insist on probity, cannot challenge anything. So when you have people who are completely on the dregs, it's almost like we call a peasant and lord society. And so it's not about a minimum wage. It's about people who are in power keeping people in complete subjection. They're deprived, and then they become depraved, and that's why we have things like ritual killings and people doing things that are just completely beyond what you can even imagine in a decent society. And until people are empowered, because money is empowerment. If you have no money, you're powerless. You can't even talk to the policeman if you have no money, because everything is done by money in Nigeria. By keeping people in poverty, we will always have election rigging, we'll always have judges who are corrupt, because poverty enthrones the rich. And it's intended. That's why they're arguing about having 30,000 naira is an insult to humanity. It's not just so small, it's an insult. The fact we even discussed it is beyond even common sense.
But is this about the minimum wage, or would you rather not suggest to the government that they should put in place institutionally, by way of act of parliament, a system that takes care of the poor, that there's a certain amount you should earn, either you're in civil service or you're in self-employed, just as you have here in the UK. If you earn below a certain amount of money, the government gives you certain amount of money to help you. Shouldn't there be something like that?
I don't think it's about a various minimum. What you have to understand is that power, right, is enthroned and ensured by keeping a larger percentage of people in complete poverty. People are scared to even raise their voice, because you lose your job, you're dead. You can't raise your voice. You can't insist on anything. So the entire structure, the institution, we have senators who are earning an insane amount of money, but nobody can say anything, because people are dependent on these people who are stealing money to survive. Without them, they die. So if you keep a person in complete poverty, he will always be in subjection to...
All right, so what is the way out? In your view, what is the way forward?
I think the fact of the matter is this, our rulers represent our people. Until the people change, they will have this continuous, never-ending set of corrupt rulers. When you contest election as a righteous man, because you're not prepared to subject them by giving them money to enthrone you in power, then you can't be voted for. Our whole system as a people, right, is open to question. We accept corruption. We enthrone corruption. We worship people who are corrupt. And that's why the rulers, right, that we have today will always continue to enthrone poverty, because it keeps them in power. And so the people actually say, wait a minute, I'm prepared to die. I'm prepared to sacrifice for righteousness. It's not going to change.
All right, thank you for calling into the studio. Thank you for calling in all the way from Liverpool. I mean, the government and the people in power deliberately, perpetually keep subjected Nigerians to poverty because they want to exercise control and dominion over them.
Yes, that is what obtains in Nigeria, because if there is that they want to put everybody in servitude, so that they will be the only cocks crowing.
Should that be possible? The total number of people in power. Nigeria is about 180 million today. The total number of people in power, they are probably less than 5 million. I'm not sure we have 5 million people in power in Nigeria today. Let's say conservatively, 5 million people from federal to state. Let's say 5 million. And we have 180. So 5 million people holding 175 million people hostage?
Yes.
Is that possible?
Because they control the forces of production. They control the wealth of the nation. They control 80% of the wealth. These 5 million people, about 5% of Nigerians, control 80% of Nigeria's wealth. whereas 180 or 175 million people contribute 30% of Nigeria's wealth. In other words, there is that kind of servants, servants class and upper class.
I'm saying, should that be possible? Shouldn't 170, even 80 million people, shouldn't they rise up for themselves to say, look, we can't take this anymore?
You see, that is what they call
we cannot take this again.
What they call atomized society. These people are individualized. They are atomized individuals. And remember, in Nigeria, there is ethnic power in Nigeria, religious power in Nigeria. They use all this to divide Nigerians. That they cannot be conscientized to come together.
So it's difficult to bring Nigerians together.
It's difficult because even those people who we are talking about now, the common people we are talking about, who we want to defend, they will go to the people who are controlling them, who are oppressing them. They will come with them at the end, maybe this Christmas period. Now they go to different constituencies and buy them bicycles or sewing machines. They clap for them and they see them as lords. They are not been empowered. That is just temporary. They've not been empowered just to sustain their own power base. That if nobody will come and challenge them. Because one, in their community, once you become a political leader in Nigeria, in your community, you are on top. Money begins to flow. People who you respect before, you don't respect them again because you have money. Money talks in Nigeria. So Nigerians are the ones who even clap for the people who are oppressing them. They give them the backing. I remember not long ago, one of the top officials in Senate was going to his community after they had alleged that he had more than 30 houses outside the country. As he was going to show that he was in control, the people who were the receiving end came trooped out to pledge loyalty and solidarity to him. So what do you expect? They will do it. They think that they are there for their own people, whereas they are there in their own interest. So if you look at the issue of minimum wage in Nigeria today, from the first time we have minimum wage under Shagari, it was 125 naira. At that time, naira was at par with pound, or even higher than pound. 125. Let's say that time it was 125 pound. Now it diminished to 37 pound. Are we making progress or we are degenerating? If we could pay at that time, but now we couldn't. It's not as if, and now at that time, budget was about in millions, but now we are talking about trillions. They didn't capture the Nigerian workers. They only capture 150 billion naira for National Assembly, made up of 450 individuals, or thereabouts. 150 billion. Schools, now, as Alan said recently, they wanted to take money out for election. They went to education to cut education budgets, cut health budgets. Are you surprised that in Nigeria today, people don't go to school? Or when they go to school, they stay under the dilapidated environment or in the dilapidated house. And there are no medicines in the hospitals because of our deliberate policy. These are people in government, they don't go, even if they have headache, they will fly to Dubai. The people who are in the country don't have anywhere to go. They are sick, they die there because of no treatment, no money, no medical treatments. You don't even have money for little things to do. So it's a system that is bankrupt.
So there is a deliberate, we agree now that there's a deliberate.
It is deliberate, yes.
By
because
the
people cannot articulate what they want. And those, like, for example, before, Labour used to carry the flag for everybody. Labour was the only organized group. When NANS and co failed, Labour was the only organized group that could speak for Nigerians. But now, Labour was also became compromised and politicized. Their leaders now have an eye on becoming governors and etc. So they are now part and parcel of the system. That is why, for any meaningful progress, Nigerian people, properly called, should organize themselves and present a common front against their common enemies.
But you just said that even the Nigerian people who have difficulty organizing themselves, because even these Nigerians, the issue is because of our relationship, family relationship. You see somebody whose brother is in the Senate, he will not fight against his brother. If people in the community are trying to fight against his brother, he will go to his brother and expose them. His friend, who is probably getting some benefit from him, will join him to support. So the people themselves aren't going to help matters.
The people are also the problem. What we are saying all along. The people are also part of the problem. You know, as you want to fight for them, they don't want to be released.
They don't want to be liberated.
Yes, they don't want to be liberated.
But there should be something that should be done.
Yeah, something should be done. Nothing lasts forever. You know, there must be a point where the thing gets to.
All right. If you're watching this program, what I just wanted to call in to tell us on this: what should Nigerians do to set themselves free from the slavery and poverty they have been put into by the system in Nigeria? Of course, just as I said, it's a deliberate effort by people in power and in government to keep people in servitude in slavery. The government, the system, the institution have been designed in such a way that an average Nigerian, the remaining 170 million Nigerians, will continue to worship just the few that are in power. I've got Yinka. Yinka, good evening. Thank you for joining us on the program. Where is Yinka calling in from today?
I'm calling you from Manchester. Good evening.
All right, thank you for calling in from Manchester. Go ahead and make your point, Yinka.
The point is, I just read the topic you're discussing. I don't know how far you've gone.
Just go ahead. You got the topic already. What is
the right of minimum wage? Maybe I will use this medium today to speak loud and clear to the rest of us in Nigeria that the Labour Congress, if they are clamoring for increase in their wages, will that stop corruption? Will that help them to cover all the loopholes they've been opening up for the politicians that came on board to spend just 4 years, and they manipulate all these civil servants in order to steal our commonwealth? Somebody was asking me, who and who are the people that perpetrated in this corruption? I listed 3. I said the politicians, all the politicians, individuals and the civil servants, individuals and civil servants in Nigeria, all of them have sold their hands in.
But shouldn't you look at the level of civil servants? Because those ones that are at middle cadre or senior cadre are the ones that are involved in this. Of course, the politicians will not be able to do anything without the civil servants.
Even
so you're not the people here at the lower cadre.
The gate man helped politicians to steal.
How will he do that?
All right. Today, I've worked in Nigeria and I've retired. I've seen a lot. They can do it. They will walk to the politician and say, sir, I've been here 35 years. 4 or 5 governors, including the military governors. This is the way military governors carted away all the resources in Nigeria. It is through the civil servants. They will walk into their office. No, you can see.
But those who do that, basically, those who do that, those who have the power to do that among the civil servants are those in the directorate level. Director of Finance, Director of Admin,
directors as well.
Or assistant directors.
Today, directors want to steal as well. They want to steal. So the people that are so close to the governor will be the cook, the lower cadre from level 6 to 9. They are the ones that open up every avenue for governor to know what is going on, or what important money that the directors or the parastatals are eating. So the governor will now look, especially the politicians, they are the worstest ever I've seen in my life in Nigeria. They will form a lot of maybe boards. The boards will come into your parastatals and they will telling you, show me the way that this office makes their money. One of them will now go back to the governor, telling the governor, remove that director. We can make millions for you there. And that is the way they will now ask the House of Assembly. In order, each House of Assembly members that have been allotted each offices will come to you, and that is what led to padding. They will say, in your budget for so year, put this amount for your parastatals, and we are going to defend it in the House. And governor will sign it and send it to Abuja. Abuja will pay, they will remove it. Straight.
Yeah, so Yinka, what are you saying in essence? I just want.
I'm saying that if they are making 30,000 naira now for their minimum wage, will Labour Congress help Nigerians in order to seal up and to warn all their staff against corruption? And if anybody is found wanting, not that Nigerians cannot pay. If anybody is found wanting, it will be tantamount to sack.
So Yinka, you're saying the civil servants themselves are culprits in corruption in Nigeria. They are also part of the reasons why others are not being paid.
Bring the Labour Congress chairman here. They cannot lie. They are the number one that allow 4 years politicians to acquire wealth up to a tune of $1 billion in Nigeria.
Okay, you got
to take a governor, for example. A one state governor. How can a state governor be stealing all the broadcasting equipment? Are you with me?
Yeah.
Let me leave for others to talk. Thank you very much.
All right, Yinka, thank you for your passionate contribution on the program. I mean, it's just giving us another dimension to this. Of course, we all know this, that the politicians in Nigeria, the civil servants in Nigeria, aren't helping matter at all. Especially those at the senior, okay, that it's difficult for somebody who's just coming into power for the first time to actually know how to steal money without the support and the backing of the civil servants.
Yes,
so these civil servants that we are raising our voice for are also culprits.
I think if you particularize on civil servants, we're going to veer off.
But it is true that civil servants are also extremely corrupt.
The character of the civil service in Nigeria, I will tell you that we are not yet there. Nigerian civil service, for any meaningful development in Nigeria, must be restructured, and we have to review them and restructure them. The way they are now is a corrupt institution in Nigeria today.
So everything.
From what he said, I can also let you into what happens in the civil service, because I have worked at the government level. From what he said, there's elements of truth in what he said. When you come into office, like when I was chief press secretary, somebody will come to you and say, this is how we do things in office. If you want to buy laptop, maybe the market price is 50,000 naira. Here, it is 150 million naira. You get it? They are putting you through how to make money, how they make the system operates. Because they are the ones who carry out policies. They are the ones who do the legwork. The government is there. And have you ever asked yourself, how does these governors cut away all this money, embezzle billions? They don't sing into their accounts. They don't sign their government accounts. No governor asks them today if they are signing into the accounts of government. It is the accountant general of the state that can sign it, and they maybe to an extent minister of finance. No governor, but because of the way they operate, in unity, that's why they're able to save money from the states. If those people do their work the way they're supposed to do it, checks and balances, no governor will attempt to steal billions. But they are in cahoots with them to save money out of the system. So
now, if the civil servants that we are trying to raise our voice for are criminals themselves, I would say the civil service system is designed in a way that encourages corruption. The politicians are designed in a way that their system encourages corruption. The average market woman who sells something in the market has his wares designed in a way that is corrupt. Where do we start from to deal with issues in Nigeria?
That is why I'm saying, for me, people who are talking about Nigeria being restructured, you cannot just restructure out of nothing. Before you restructure Nigeria as a country, people also ought to be reorientated. Because the same people, if you make Nigeria give everybody, every person, every community state today, the same thing we are experiencing today will be, that's underdevelopment will continue. Because the same people with the same mindset run Nigeria. The way Nigeria is.
What is the way forward? It does appear to me that Nigeria, look, if you're watching this program and And you look at the point we have come to now. We say 30,000 naira is a disgrace, is embarrassing. And then we look at the way the civil service is designed and run in Nigeria. These people who earn 30,000 naira are the ones that help the government, the politicians, to steal money in its millions. It does appear to me one does not even know what to do. If you're watching this program, if you think that there's a solution to what is on ground, can you just call into the studio, let us know what you think the solution is? Because it appears to me, I'm dumbfounded now. If I'm saying 30,000, look, it's embarrassing. And then the guys I'm raising my voice for, how do you want that helping the politicians to steal? Does it mean the entire Nigerian structure should be collapsed? Are we saying the entire Nigerian structure should be collapsed? How can that happen? How would that happen?
It should not collapse. The truth of the matter is that Nigeria needs leading lights.
Where is it going to come from?
Who will come? Who understand the system and is determined to make a change. Many countries have been at this stage, at this level we are today. But somebody came up and said, no.
Would that be a politician? Can that be a politician or a lord? Somebody who just come as a lord. Say, look, who will just come and lord himself over everyone and takes decision and then deals with
That is why
people.
we're saying that. I, for one, I'm a believer in what they call, a benevolent dictator for Nigeria. As Nigeria is today, except you are a benevolent dictator, to take
benevolent dictator.
Yes. And you are committed not to be corrupt, committed to sanitize the system as it is. Then you can make Nigeria better.
The Nigerian politicians will always be a victim of the system. Because of course, if you're trying to sanitize the system, the people will always come back to they will hold you by your balls and say, they will hold you down to say, excuse me with that language, they will hold you down to say, look, no, this is the way it has always gone. You're going to play by the ball. You're going to play by the rule.
You can only hold me down if I am coming to power not to serve. If I am coming for other means, for other reasons, to line my pockets, that's why you can hold me down. If I am given position today and I am determined, my coming there is not to serve myself. I'm coming there, I am making declaration. Look at who I am. Look at what I intend to do. Nobody, when I'm the president, nobody can stop me.
All right. Okay. Thanks so much for your contribution. Chukwudi Nwabuko, Chair of Nigerian Journalists in the UK, for your contribution on the program today. And for everyone who has got into the studio, thank you so much for being part of the program today. We'll still talk about this issue of minimum wage and then reorientation for Nigeria as a whole. My name is Tunde Alabi. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll say goodbye.